Hi. Before we get into this video, I need to tell you something, because I shot this video about a week before my wife had a stroke last November. And I gotta be honest, nothing puts your priorities in check like watching the person you love the most in the world suddenly lose the ability to move or speak. It was humbling, it was terrifying, and it made this video, the one you're about to see, feel completely unimportant. And that's why I didn't release it until now, because it just didn't feel right. Because when you're standing in an ER, your gear doesn't matter, your DAW doesn't matter. The only thing that matters is whether the person you love is going to be okay. So if you've got somebody in your life, especially somebody who puts up with your endless gear obsession, go give them a hug right now. Seriously. Now, with that being said, let's talk about this totally reasonable $6,000 compressor. Yeah, $6 freaking grand for 8 channels of dynamics so precise you're gonna want to record a 12-minute prog metal epic just to justify owning them. Good luck getting anyone to listen to that more than once, by the way. And yes, they do sound incredible. Like, what the hell am I going to do with all my SSL 500 series compressors? Kind of incredible. Because Neve, you make the best sounding console I have ever had the pleasure of working on. And you've paired it with a manual that reads like it was written by a sleep-deprived intern 3 hours before a freaking deadline. Stay tuned. This video is going to get interesting because I lost an entire day emailing tech support because the manual didn't bother to mention that you need to flip 2 dip switches. 2 freaking tiny dip switches. But hey, at $6 grand, it's still a steal, right? Because it breaks down to only $750 per channel. Of course, the only catch is that you've got to buy the whole console just to use it. Minor detail. So park your Maserati, grab a bottle of Dom Perignon, and ask the guy next to you.
Pardon me, do you have any Grey Poupon?
Delicious. Now, of course, comes the most important part of the show, the reason you're here, and that is to watch me take stuff out of a box. Yeah, I don't get it either. But I think it is kind of important to see what we're getting for our money, just see how things arrive in the box. I mean, like, when you consider it doesn't weigh a lot, and it's really, really freaking expensive. I just want to see how well this stuff gets packed. I mean, like, this thing survived a trip from England to Sweetwater and then from Sweetwater to me, so hopefully it arrived in one piece. Hopefully it didn't get annihilated by various customs agencies and whatnot. Okay, moment of truth. I gotta admit, I'm really excited to see this. Ooh, what do we get? Another box! Just what I always wanted. And we get the Happy New Gear Day thing from Sweetwater. Thank you, Sweetwater. Always great when I get new stuff from you guys, that's for sure. Another box. Ooh, it's got the end stickers on it. Oh, this is like best Christmas ever for sound guys, that's for sure. And let's see what we got. And that is glued fucking shut. Okay, I am not getting in there easily. Well, they definitely package it well. Ooh, here we go. Look at that. Yeah, that's nicely done, guys. Okay, great. And it looks like we got some anti-static bubble wrap here. Just want to take a quick look at this. Now, most of this stuff is pretty much plug and play. I'm not exactly sure where in the back of the board this has got to go, but shouldn't be that difficult to find. Oh yeah, there we go. Ooh, can we get a shot of that? Look at that. That's pretty. Yeah, how the hell does this go in? That is a damn fine question. Hopefully there's some documentation online on how to install this thing, because it doesn't look like there's any in the box. Fingers crossed. Let's power the board down. We're gonna pull things out back and just see how well or easy this drops in or does not. Wish me luck. All right, just a quick look at the manual. Is able to find the installation instructions, no problem. So what I gotta do now is power everything down, pull the console out, get in behind there, and try and get the damn thing installed. I'm gonna get a shot of that. Let's change the lighting up here, get some lights on here, maybe we can see what the hell we're doing. And it's gonna get this one on as well. That's the easy part. Now I gotta move the console. This bit's always fun. Now, before I actually drop this in, I double checked the installation instructions. Yes, they were included in the manual, so that's very good. And there's an interesting point there. It says you need to double check some dip switches and make sure everything's set correctly. And if we look, there's some tiny, tiny, tiny dip switches like right here from 1 to 8. And if I check the manual here, it says that switch number 4 is on for 32-bit systems and all the other switches are off, so that means it's set for position 1 to 8. And that's exactly what I've got going on here in all my mixes. 1 to 8 are all my close mics, kick, snare, overheads, toms, that kind of thing. And then rooms are like 9 and 10, and then those go out to this guy here, the Stam 1178. I've had that on the show a few times already. This thing's just absolutely killer. But yeah, for all the close drum mics, I'm looking for those VCA style dynamics. I'm really curious how that's actually going to sound for a voiceover as well. Fortunately, I've got the Flock audio patch, so I'm going to be able to swap a couple different voiceover compressors in and out and just see what works for on camera and at the desk, that kind of thing. It's definitely going to get interesting here on Spectre Sound over the next few months, that's for sure. You're going to see a few more episodes of top tier studio gear, that's for sure. I think Eventide's going to be sending me something incredibly cool as well. All right, let's try and put this thing in. Here's the back of the console. Once again, I've got those amazing Cat 5 to DB25 connectors from Catherine North Electronics in Hamilton, Ontario. It's just a very economical, very smart way of hooking up your system, and it's just a very efficient way of doing things and a much, much, much less expensive way of doing things as well. Also want to point something else out here. I've got a light here, and this is from Gravity. You guys know them. They've been on the show a few times. They make all kinds of cool stands and whatnot. They actually make this little LED light that's rotatable, and it works on a magnet, so I get light exactly where I need it to do the job. How freaking amazing is that? All right, so this is the panel I got to take out right here. It should be pretty straightforward, and then the thing should just slide right in. So let's get these out, and again, very important you have the right size screwdriver for the job so you don't wind up stripping your screws. Very important. Hey guys, point worth mentioning, when you're doing mission critical work like this and you got tiny little bolts that you need to put back and make sure they go back, put your screws or bolts or whatever you got into a cup. That way you don't lose them. Yeah, there it goes. Persistent, that's for sure. Yeah, I mean, like standard procedure here would probably be take all the cabling out, but yeah, I don't want to do that can of worms. I got a show to create still. All right, the only thing I got to do now is take out this little piece too. I can drop in the dynamics module and then just button it back up. We should be good to go. Okay, so we're good to go. Just want to make sure I've got the dynamics cassette here facing the right direction, and we're just going to ease it in. Remember guys, it's not jam it in, it's ease it in. Let's see how we do here. Made sure to double check when the faceplate goes back in, this thing's got to be facing down that way. Seems pretty straightforward. Let's see how it goes. Installing this is just like installing the computer. It's on like these plastic sliders. Just set it in. It's probably just a matter of pushing it in so it locks in place. And that's all there is to it. That's amazing. This is the dynamics card at the second position there. Looks like that's the EQ card for the first position there. And those are those wonderful EQs that I use on all my drum mixes and whatnot. Oh yeah, this is definitely the cool stuff, that's for sure. Can't wait to hear how this thing sounds. Now it's time for the moment of truth. This is where we fire up the console and make sure it comes online and nothing fries or catches fire or anything like that. I followed the instructions to a T. Let's see what happens. And this is actually the monitor for the onboard computer right here. I always find it's a really good idea just to do a quick test run, make sure everything's up and running and loading correctly before you put the studio back, before you put everything back in place. That way you don't have to move the console again. Did I mention this thing is 300 pounds? Like when we did the install there last year, I wouldn't have been able to do it though. My very good friend Steve Chason, who might actually be coming out tonight. We'll see what goes on. Anyway, I got to fire up Reaper here and we'll see in just a sec if this thing works or not. Okay, this looks promising. Please note desk configuration has changed. Cool. All right. Excellent. And if I hit the dynamics button over here, there's our gates. And if I start moving knobs, oh, it moves. There's a compressor, gate expander, compressor, side chain. Ooh, we can have an EQ as a side chain. Okay, cool. And fast attack. All right. Wow. That's what these knobs here are doing, but we've also got the touchscreen here. I'm gonna pull up Reaper and we're gonna get going here in a sec. But so far, it looks like the dynamics are in place. I'm super excited. So it's been a couple days and I did run into an issue with this thing. So what I did first up was I just did a quick snare drum evaluation, copied the snare on 8 tracks to see what's going on with the dynamics. And we've got an issue here with the ballistics. Track 1 and 2's ballistics are not working. Now, I've been on email back and forth with Neve for the last couple of days, and I finally got an answer this morning, so I got to pull the card out and move a couple of dip switches, because what they're telling me is different than what the manual says. And that doesn't really surprise me, because that manual is not good. It's not helpful at all. So give me a minute here. I got to pull the console out yet again, pull the card out, move a couple switches, and fire everything back up again. I just want to break in here for a second. Thank everybody at Sweetwater. Full disclosure, I did pay for this thing. The unit cost $5,000. Sweetwater gave me a little discount, but it was still a very large check to write and very uncomfortable as well. So there is that. But if you need pro audio gear, go talk to my friends at Sweetwater. They are amazing people. They'll make it happen in a way that you're really gonna like. Just awesome people all around. All right, so $5,000's a lot of money to spend. Is it really worth that kind of money? Yeah, you tell me. Check out the drums. Okay, I will admit I was listening to the Black Album a little bit last night. This isn't a dead-on match, of course, but it's kind of got that vibe, but yet it's doing its own thing. First and foremost, I just got to say, it's really awesome to pull up the Genesis control plugin, and I've actually got a dynamic section here. And if I were to solo up the snare here, you can hear what's going on. It's actually pretty small sounding. I've got some combo ambiences going on here. All working in tandem with each other, and that's an Andy Wallace method I'm using. And it's pretty damn cool. But the initial snare, like if we pop the EQ and dynamics, so I've got controls right here on the touchscreen. You know, it's okay, but the compressor here is just adding this cracking spank that I just have not gotten anywhere else. I mean, like, software is very, very good, and these SSL compressors over here are very, very good. This is just a tiny bit better, and it's giving me just kind of pushing things over the edge, where it's giving me this really nice attack that I've just never been able to get before. And again, context of a mix, that's where it really counts. It just works. So one of the really bright points of this whole unit is the gate system. I mean, like, we turn it off, crank it in, and I mean, like, we can get super aggressive here. Like, we can just open that up. We can lower the noise floor if we want more of that bleed, which we don't. And, you know, if we bypass the compressor even, the snare, yeah, it sounds a little bit puny when it's isolated by itself here. But if we start bringing in the ambiences, oh, yeah, that's the kind of stuff I've been after forever. And it's all because of that initial crack. Like, if we mute that snare in the mix and just hear the ambience, you know, it just brings that extra crack right in. So again, guys, remember, it's all about how it sounds in the mix, not by itself as it's soloed up. It's a whole combination of a bunch of different things happening to generate that kind of sound. And speaking of sounds, if you want to learn how to get that guitar sound, hit the subscribe button and I'll make a video showing you how to do it. It's really cool. It's really simple. It's very easy to do, and it's using an old school tool not too many people use anymore, which is a real shame because I'm really digging this sound. And oh yeah, just to sweeten the deal, when I hit 1 million subs, I'm giving away my dual rectifier from the year 2000. It wound up on the first 2 Woods Vipre records. If you're a black metal fan, you know what that's all about. And that's going to be up for grabs once again when I hit 1 million subs. But I need your help to make that happen. Hit the subscribe button. Come along on this crazy journey for me, because I'm going to share with you everything I know about making metal. Now, back to the dynamic section. Check out what I got going here on the overheads. I'm just going to go on to the manual controls over here and punch these in and out because they're pretty insane. Like, here's the raw overheads. Pretty great stuff. Let's kick in the EQs. Just taking a lot of the bottom end out. Let's kick in the compressors. Like, you hear the smack I'm getting on that snare. I've got a fast attacking gauge here on the overheads, and it's just, it's just clamping down on an initial snare hit. So it gives it that more of a kind of like winding up from back here and hitting the snares kind of sound, as opposed to bam, 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 like that. Again, we just take a listen really close to the attack on the snare. I'll punch this in and out. That's just freaking glorious. It's like, I've worked with a lot of compressors, but don't think I've ever come across anything quite so aggressive. And it just works great. Now, last but not least, one of the biggest time consumers when I'm mixing drums has to be tom tracks, because sometimes, the gates you use just don't quite get it. And I've worked with a lot. I've worked with a lot of digital ones. I've worked with a lot of different analog ones. These have to be the absolute best I've ever come across. Check this out. Here are my tom tracks raw. Yeah, that's a lot of hum. Check this out. So I'm just going to kick in the dynamic section now. I think I hear a tiny little bit in there, and that's it. And then we've got tom fill right here. And then we're out. I have never come across tom gates that freaking awesome before. Now, they do sound a little puny on their own when they're playing. But remember, guys, it's all about context of a mix. And when you make all your mics work together, then you get the big sounds. I just want to make it clear to everybody, if you're at home working with plugins, that's absolutely fine. There's nothing to be ashamed about with that. I've heard a lot of people get great results. This isn't something you buy on a whim. This is something you kind of reward yourself with after doing it for years and years and years. And if you're just starting out, it's something to strive towards. But is it worth $5,000? Let's break it down. All right, so here's the bottom line. The sound quality, absolutely incredible. The setup left me wondering, what the hell am I going to do with all my SSL compressors? Not only are the compressors outstanding, but the gates, well, let's put it this way. I've used a ton of tom gates over the years, but these are the best I have ever worked with, hardware or software. Now, this next section is for my friends over at Neve. You guys and girls make the greatest consoles ever, but you've included what has got to be the worst manual ever written. Now, to everybody watching at home, if you love sending emails back and forth for an entire day just because the manual forgot to mention flipping two fucking dip switches, well, you're gonna learn all about how much a 6-hour time zone difference will fuck up your day. Now, let's talk about price, because at $5,000, this is definitely not cheap. But this is an investment into your business, plain and simple. That breaks down to $625 per channel. By way of comparison, SSL's 500 series dynamics will run you about $700 per channel. So technically, the Neve is the cheaper option. The only catch, you're gonna have to buy the entire console instead of just a 500 series rack, so there is a slight price difference when it comes to your all-in cost. Now, if you like this episode and you want to see more of top-tier studio gear, be sure to hit that subscribe button, and I'll show you what the Flock audio patch is all about. Is it flocking amazing, or just too flocking expensive? Let's find out next time. Until then, cheers! The gates, well, I've yet to... Now, this next session, but you've included what... You've included what has got to be... Okay, but you've included with what? Why do I keep putting the with there? Okay, one more time. Well, you're going to have to learn all about...